Hey guys, it's Crazy here. I just wanted to go over kind of like beginning season where we're going with the build. We started off as Flash, and I just wanted to give an update. So real quick, let's do an update real quick, and I'll show you guys where we're at right now, and then we're gonna do a final build video here pretty shortly after this. So just for a quick update on what we're up to, I got the skin for the skill here. It's pretty cool. I'll show you guys that real quick. Shoots off those. First off, you shoot a little line of purple there, and then it blasts those giant streaks out. Pretty cool. Anyway, that's what the skin is for Flash, since we're using Flash for the season. And let's just get into a really quick update on what we're doing. So here's the skill tree. Let's go over what Flash is for anybody that's new to it. So Flash, you become invisible for a short time, perform an area attack after charging in. If the target doesn't die, you trigger a cross-shaped additional strike around the target. So charge in. If the targets do die, you just kind of like jump across the map, and you'll hit them, one-shot them, and that strike won't go off. But in harder maps or when you're fighting like an elite and whatnot, every time you hit, you're hitting those additional strikes. And it kind of helps with clearing. So pretty cool skill. How you scale it is the initial strike you don't worry too much about. I mean, it's just going to happen. And then you try to scale this additional strike range along with all of this stuff here. So 2% critical strike chance per 30 weapon range, 3% maximization chance per 70 weapon range, and therefore everything on the tree that has weapon range we're kind of testing right now. Some of the nodes that have weapon range I might switch away from just because I don't think it's giving me enough. But getting 70 and 30, really powerful. For the Lacrima, show you guys that real quick before we get too much into things. Just using Golden String of Possibility for the Overpower effect. And that does work. If anybody puts this on, you're not really sure how these rings work. You put them on, the effect doesn't show up on you. But if you want to test it, you just go to your skill, and you'll see that when you're not wearing the ring, your damage goes down and your armor penetration will go down. So a good way to test that. Helmet, just a basic enhanced skill rune recovery, enhanced skill rune effect helmet. Hopefully we make something a little bit better later, but that's what we have for now. And then I'm using Watcher Stick because of the weapon range. You get 10 stacks of it, and you get damage implication per weapon range. And since we're scaling weapon range, this helps a lot. Not only is this giving you the weapon range, it's giving you every 10 stacks, you're getting 2% critical strike chance, and you're getting maximization chance, because that's how the skill works. So pretty awesome. That's the main thing. The main thing to kind of go over is what Flash is and how it works, just so that people that are trying to use it understand how to use it. You're scaling weapon range as much as you can, crit chance, maximization chance. Don't sacrifice amp and stuff to do this. It's just that this is an extra benefit of things that you can get. It also goes into why we use the link runes we do, the link runes that we do. Savagery is the first link rune. You're going to have to always use this. The weapon range is really nice. And I went with the weapon range Source Awakening. For Ijitsu, went with Ijitsu, mainly because we are dual wielding, and I'm going to stick with dual wielding for most of the season. And I just wanted to have the extra benefits of the dual wielding. Along with the fact that we're getting that damage amp maximization per weapon range, and we're just scaling so much weapon range that if you're using Watcher Stick, Ijitsu is pretty good. Next link rune that's pretty much required. Warrior Shadow. This just creates an additional shadow of your character and performs the ability again. Pretty awesome. We used to use Blade of Death, and I still do switch back and forth between it. But this is the updated build video, and I wanted to go over how it was to just use Warrior Shadow instead of using the trigger rune. Next link rune is Extract Earth Energy. The benefits from Earth Energy. Not only do you get attack from the basic Earth Energy, but when you attach this link rune, you're getting all of these benefits. Attack speed, bleed rate, stun rate. All of this is really hard to get on just one link rune, so really powerful. All right, so essentially Flash, you're going to be doing Savagery. If you want to do the dual wielding, I would do Savagery, Ijitsu, and Warrior Shadow as your main runes. And then you can switch out Grand Approach, Fighting Spirit, and extract earth energy if you want to. I would actually kind of consider these 4 your main runes, and then these 2 you can kind of switch out. Grand Approach, if you don't need the life regen as much, which I'm using right now for berserking, probably could switch over to all sorts of different things. My favorite one is going to be Preemptive Strike. And then Fighting Spirit. Once you don't need the Fighting Spirit stacks anymore for the element damage dampening and the physical damage dampening, go ahead and switch this out with Strike or anything else that's just going to add a lot more amp for you. Even melee damage amp works pretty good. All right, so that's what Flash is and how Flash is going to be used, how it's going to be scaled and whatnot. Let's go ahead and go over how the build works. So because Flash is not a movement skill, and is not considered a movement skill when you use it, you are going to use Sprint as your main movement skill. The reason why is because when you use any other movement skill with Flash, it immediately cancels it. Or not with Flash, but with Sprint, it immediately cancels it. And this is just going to help out a lot. You're going to awaken it for the Source, which gives you immunity to all status effects. And the skill already gives you immunity to crowd control status effects. So you're essentially immune to crowd control and immune to status effects at all times, and it's what makes the build really nice. I also like using Sprint with pretty much any build I can. Link runes for it. You're just doing anything that's going to cool down Sprint for you. So Disturb. Not only does the Disturb effect awesome, we're getting cooldown. Reverse Time. We're getting the cooldown for it. Once it's legendary, it's even better. Expand Vision is giving us more weapon range. Definitely very important. Disarm is more cooldown for your sprint. Increased duration just to make it last a little bit longer. And then I like to use a buff activation upon using movement skill. You can put anything you want here, your defense skill, whatever you want. I just like to put my Shout of Provocation. I'd like to have Shout of Provocation go off with my movement skill instead of an on-hit effect. Mainly because I like to make sure this is up even during dummy tests, during boss fights, if I'm not getting hit, things like that. For Shout of Provocation, don't worry too much about trying to max this out. Just kind of throw on Hush Shout and like a time acceleration, and you'll be good enough. The more you add to it, the stronger it becomes, of course, but you don't need to add too much. It's just an extra benefit. Next thing we're doing is Fighter's Wrath. Fighter's Wrath for the melee damage amplification. We don't care too much about the attack speed, even though my character does need it. Whenever I do a attack enhance rune, it's just enhance effect, time acceleration, increased duration, and decreased duration. You can, if you want to, later on. You're going to probably throw on things like improved technique and whatnot, and versatility, so go ahead and do these things. But in the meantime, because you're not going to have a lot of room, even if you're kind of halfway through the season, you're still going to... You kind of probably need Strom's crystals. Go ahead and just throw on these few, and then you'll be good to go. Defensive skills, Tenacious Regeneration for now. Any defensive skill will work for you. I don't really recommend that Tenacious Regeneration is needed for this build since we have Lifesteal already. I like to use it, and I wanted to awaken it and get it going for the season. I'm probably going to switch this out with Bulwark if that helps you with what I think is going to be better. All right, for your seals over here, you've got Enduring Pain, Illusion Axe, Seal of Critical Chance, and Seal of Dodge. So, defensive, of course. Defensive. Main thing we're doing with the Seal of Dodge, if you're like, I already have enough dodge, it's mainly the Awakening for the 5% perfect dodge. I just like it. Illusion Axe, you can do anything with Illusion Axe. Right now, we're just doing lower armor and keeping center of gravity stacks going. But in the end, if you decide you want to add energy to this, poison energy for attack speed, anything you want, you can do anything you want with Illusion Axe. But just want the basic setup, lower armor and center of gravity. Center of gravity stacks stay because Flash doesn't remove them. And lower armor is great for a physical build. Seal of Critical Chance is only because we didn't have the crit earlier. We're starting to get near there. And I'm going to switch this out with Seal of Striking, if that helps anybody. So Seal of Striking, anything that does physical damage, you can do any kind of seal you want. But Seal of Critical Chance to start with, if you're going to do a crit build. And then you can transition over to a damage amp seal later. Okay. That's essentially the skill tree. It's hard to go over this. It's a lot of information usually. So what we're setting up. Illusion Hook is only for right now, just so I can get the cut effect and the pain effect. Probably going to switch this out with something else later, but for right now, this is what we're using. All right, guys. Went over that. Takes a little bit. I just wanted to go over that. Explain to people what's going on. Here's the relics. You're going to be using Castor, Spic, and Boreal to start with. I just think that Spic is easy to use. Nice physical damage with it maximized. And you can also use Pulverize if you decide to. Boreal was just for some more HP. Nice and easy. Switch it out when you want to. And then Castor, I really like to use the Sanctum effect and the sensory stimulation. All right. That's the main thing for the builds. Let's go over the Zodiac Relic real quick. I will just scroll through this for you guys real quick so you can see what I'm using. And know that this is switched based off of things like Zodiac Stones, whether or not I want to have them activated. So if you think something looks a little bit weird or you don't like the way it's spec'd, go ahead and just do your own thing. And know that eventually you'll kind of switch things up just for your Zodiac Stones and whatnot. And we're testing a few things. So this is the setup mid-game where we're starting to transition more into enhanced skill effect rune duration. And I'm starting to move more away from the basic nodes, like just the damage amplification nodes, since we get a little bit more from our enhanced runes at this point. All right, enjoy. Here's the Zodiac. The reason why we go for this critical chance is, for anybody new, this critical chance, you see how it says 10%? It's a lot different from things like this, where it says attack critical rate. It's a base flat, just to explain that. You're only speccing into this once you have the ability to freeze, shock, and stun. A little bit late game, depending on how you get built. I showed the Malice release setup here because I believe that most people are going to want to use it when they're first leveling. And it also enhances your weapon range, as you see here. And it also hits like a truck. Now, if you decide that you want to switch over to the top tree here. I think this is a very powerful tree as well. What I did is I just went down here and got momentum. And then I popped on over here and got the HP absorb with the damage amp for dual wielding. That's if you're going to be dual wielding. All right, guys. And that is the Zodiac tree. All right, guys. So we've gone over all the basic stuff real quick. I want to show you the last things that someone might want to understand with the build. And like I said, it's a quick build video. I'm going to try to make one a little bit better right after this. This is just to kind of show you guys where we're at the season. And it's been working. Just to explain, Flash is working. It's very powerful. And then here's the charms. So just Chaos Star tier 8 for now. Nothing too crazy. I went with Alyssa, Hamal, and Boreal. Alyssa is because of my Lacrima. If you want to make a better star, I would go for a Castor. Alyssa doesn't seem to actually affect the skill. It's not an area effect skill. It's a weapon area skill, if that makes sense. So once again, don't go Alyssa like I did. This is just because it affects my Lacrima, and the only way I can use the Lacrima I currently have is using Alyssa. Alright, so for charms, really simple, without having to go over like the whole thing. I always go with one critical taken damage dampening charm, just to help out with not getting one shot. It's kind of from just playing hardcore so much, I'm just used to it. And then if you can, double charms are fine, but you're looking for triple charms that have critical rate, critical damage, and maximized damage once you're late game. And you're trying to get the maximization legendary effect. Strike damage amp and stuff is great, but this is the one you're looking for. And this is the kind of charm you're looking for. The reason why we look for these charms is so that you can go maximize crit at the end of the game. In the meantime, I mean, kind of look at some of the charms I have. These are fine. Critical rate damage, maximize damage. HP, maximize critical damage. I mean, just whatever you can get, it's going to help your character. Something like this isn't all that great, but, you know, just whatever you can do is going to help your character out. So that's how the charms work there. Other big thing that you guys might want to know about is just the Lacrima. I will show you that. I kind of went over it. But Watcher Stick, Golden String of Possibilities, and just a helmet. You could use anything you want. Lacrimas aren't something that I would consider a build. This is just like, hey, you got a good Lacrima, let's see what we can put in it, and there's optimizations you can do. For me, if I get a better ring, it'd be good, but for the most part, this is probably going to be what we're using most of the time in this Lacrima for this build. Alright, guys. Last few things there, we're working on our defenses a bit. We're not completely maxed out just yet, the defenses, but our damage has been looking pretty good. Here's the gear I'm currently wearing, just a Grave Robber belt to help out with the drop rarity right now. Medal of Penance for the Convert Mana node. Got a Transcendent Castor's Refraction, which has been pretty cool. Probably gonna switch this out eventually, especially since it's not the power it used to be. For anybody that's returning, +9 crits, not even close to +30. If you're still using Whirlwind Slash, it's the same, but you're not a lot weaker than it used to be. For the ring, nice little basic setup: attack, hit, damage amplification, attack critical rate, critical damage, and a stat. You can kind of do whatever you want with your rings. There's a lot of different authorities you can do with them. There's different effects you can proc for suffixes and whatnot, such as increased pain effect and stuff like that. So you try to go for one of those instead of that strength node, the strength I have there. But other than that, this is pretty solid, nice, easy ring to go with. Boots. I like to do the attack enhanced skill rune effect. If you need to, you can throw damage dampening, whatever else you want on there. This is kind of like what a good boot would look like, just for intermediate level. Got attack enhanced skill rune, chaos, lightning resist, movement speed, gear dodge, and melee damage. Some basic pair boots. For gloves, I always like to go for the main element I'm using, along with attack speed amp, and then critical rate. If I could get this hit rate to maximize, I would consider that a lot better. And if I didn't accidentally re-roll that attack speed into element damage, would have been even better. But for the most part, the attack speed amp is kind of what you're looking for. For chest piece, I went with the damage dampening and just mainly resist chest piece. I also use an enhanced skill duration chest piece for damage. It's just I needed the resist right now with some of the changes we've made. So kind of make whatever one you feel like. Helmet's just Spica's Regret, nice and easy until you decide you want to make something crazy. Along with the belt, belts are always kind of enhanced potion belts is what people end up making in the end. So just kind of, I like to fill the spots that I know are going to be filled with something crazy like later on. I did get the Transcendent Hamal's Wreath. Faded in the chat actually helped with this. He had this and he sell it to me for pretty cheap, so we got this. Now I'm able to try it out. It is pretty good. Real quick, the attack and spell damage, speed, gear crit, all of this can be got on another dagger. The thing you're getting on this dagger is you're getting a free damage amp, chance to deal maximized damage, and additional fire damage on every hit, along with the fact that if you're using Blades of Death, you should definitely use this because of the extra benefit. So go ahead and craft a dagger if you want. I crafted a very powerful one here. We were able to get massive damage on it. It's almost as much as the Transcendent dagger here. And this is kind of like what I like to go for. So a Starlight dagger is going to allow you to get the extra attack and spell damage. And then the stats I like to go for are very simple. Maximize damage or crit damage. You always have to have attack and spell, gear critical rate if you're going gear critical rate. And then those, after that, you're good. So as long as you have attack and spell, and gear critical rate, go ahead and customize your dagger from there. Choose if you want to do an additional element. You don't need the additional element, go for damage amp, or just go for a basic dagger. You could go for weapon speed if you wanted to. That's how powerful weapons are usually crafted. You get your element on here usually. Attack and spell damage, and gear critical rate. Choose if you want crit damage or maximized. And then I went with the element as well. I wanted to have that extra physical damage on there. Afterwards, the first recraft in your alchemy bench should always be the attack and spell damage percent. It's the highest bonus. And then if you recraft, or if you do a high craft, hopefully you get something good. And then your legendary effect, go for the attack and spell damage if you can. And then on our final upgrade, we got very lucky, and we turned this dagger into a cold damage dagger with a chance to ignore enemy armor, along with that a lightning. So it's a lightning cold damage dagger, very powerful. So I highly recommend crafting a dagger, even if you think maybe you want to go with this, because technically, because of this this proc we got here, this dagger is slightly stronger than even the Transcendent dagger right now. All right, guys. Other than that, that's the basic gear setup. I was able to go over the Zodiac tree, our relics, and all the basic stuff for the build. I will do a final build video here, and let's just show me doing a map real quick. We'll go ahead and do something like a plus 25 or something. I'm pretty sure that's where people are wanting to be, so you can start grinding nice and easy, and then I'll do a hard mode for you guys next time we hop on here. Kind of give some commentary while we're going through it. To explain how the skill works, as you've seen, you fly in, you hit, and then those giant slashes go flying off across the screen. Because we've scaled our weapon range so high, those slashes are just pretty much annihilating the entire screen. Very, very nice. Every time a group of creatures, as you've seen, that yellow was the only thing alive at the end. Every time you kill a group of creatures, big old slashes. Watch your stick helps with the big effect. You're not going to have this when you first start in Slash or Flash. You probably won't even notice the slashes at the beginning. But as you go on, you have something to work for. And you'll understand that, hey, I may not feel like I'm clearing too well right now, but as time goes on, you're going to clear. And this is with using the Shadow setup instead of using the Blades of Death. So the Shadow setup's a slightly higher single target, well, a lot higher single target damage. The Blades of Death does do better clearing until you get the scaling like this, and that's why we kind of switched over to this. Just kind of wanted to show people. This is like 160 items we're getting out of here. Easily could do 165s to 170s here. and then, well, 170 is a little bit difficult for me still. So, and we can also do the basic beginning of hard modes to try to start to get a little bit of serpents. Essences. Hopefully this helped people decide if they want to try out Flash a little bit. I think it's very powerful. I like how it works through the season. If you see here, if you're ever just trying to kind of go through maps and you don't want to kill everything real quick, just start hitting your... Just kind of teleport through everything. Say you're a little bit... Like right now we can kill everything, no problem. Let's say you're a little bit weaker. You just kind of want to get through the maps, but you want to get all of the stuff done through your maps, like your serpent statues and stuff. Go ahead and just hit sprint. You can kind of hop through groups of creatures and just kill them. Decent clearing though. I thought the clearing was not going to be very well when I first started. I thought we were gonna have to switch to something else towards the end game, but no, this has been great. I've had no problem with the clearing. The giant slashes are great. We're gonna give you guys some commentary on what's going on Flash. Also, another thing is if you're using the mouse and keyboard, like I'll switch to mouse and keyboard here. When you use Flash, you'll kind of flash through creatures. See, it doesn't really stick to them. So how you get this to kind of work like Flicker Strike and like Path of Exile and whatnot is, especially if you're using a controller, you just flick through the map, and the moment you get to a group of creatures you want to kill, let go of the D-pad, so you're not kind of like moving your character around, and just press down the button for Flash, and your character will automatically teleport, as you see here, amongst all of the creatures. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just literally just teleporting. Just pressing the button and just auto-teleport. So you'll automatically kill everything on the screen, but you have to know to let go of the D-pad or your joystick and just kind of let your character go, or they won't auto-target things, and it's a little janky at first. I know it seems a little bit weird, but once you start to get used to it, you start to enjoy it in a weird way. Anyway, that's the Flash, guys. I figured I'd throw a build video up for you guys real quick. We will have a better build video. I'm going to go over everything a little bit quicker, and we're going to have all the final stuff that we're doing.